The day Earth officially acknowledged the existence of the Zintral species was etched into history as a turning point for humanity. For James Carson, it was the beginning of a journey that would define his life. James wasn't an ordinary man. He was a decorated ex-soldier turned diplomat, a man whose sharp mind and unyielding determination had earned him a reputation as a problem solver. Yet, in all his years navigating crises, nothing had prepared him for the challenge that lay ahead. James had always been drawn to the extraordinary. His career in the military had been fueled by a need to protect his world, but his transition to diplomacy revealed a deeper calling, the need to bridge divides, to foster understanding between vastly different cultures. When Earth's first contact with the Zintrals resulted in tense negotiations over disputed territories, James was handpicked to represent humanity's interests. The stakes were monumental. If he failed, the resulting war would devastate both species. Success, however, meant the chance to forge an unprecedented peace. The Zintrals were unlike any alien species humans had imagined. They were tall, elegant beings with translucent, bioluminescent skin that shimmered in hues of silver and blue under light. Their large, almond-shaped eyes conveyed intelligence and emotion in equal measure. To humans, they were both beautiful and intimidating, their advanced technology a testament to their superiority. But it was their leader, Arya Velen, who commanded the most attention. Arya was no ordinary diplomat. As the envoy of truce, her position held immense influence among her people. Her presence in the negotiation chamber was magnetic, her voice a harmonious blend of authority and empathy. She carried herself with a confidence that spoke of experience and resolve. When James first met her, he was struck by her otherworldly beauty, but it was her intellect and wit that truly captivated him. She was unlike anyone he had ever encountered. Their negotiations began in the vast conference hall aboard the United Nations Interstellar Station. Tensions were high. The Zintrals demanded access to a mineral-rich asteroid belt claimed by Earth, citing their need for the resources to sustain their colonies. Earth, in turn, accused the Zintrals of encroachment and refused to budge. Hours turned into days as James and Arya exchanged arguments, each standing firm on behalf of their respective worlds. Despite the heated debates, James couldn't help but admire Arya's dedication to her people. Her words were measured, her logic irrefutable. She challenged him in ways that no one else ever had, and he found himself drawn to her unwavering commitment to peace, even amidst the threats of war. On the fifth day of negotiations, a breakthrough came in the most unexpected form. During a private meeting, Arya proposed a solution so audacious that James was left speechless. "Our people need a symbol," she said, her voice soft but resolute. "A gesture that proves our commitment to coexistence. I believe that gesture is you and me." James blinked, certain he had misheard. "You're suggesting marriage?" Arya nodded, her expression calm. "A union between our two species would serve as the ultimate demonstration of trust and unity. If we are to share resources and build a future together, it must begin with us." The weight of her words settled heavily on James's shoulders. The idea was radical, unprecedented. The media frenzy alone would be enough to turn his life upside down. Yet, as he looked into Arya's steady gaze, he saw not manipulation but genuine belief in the possibility of peace. Her proposal wasn't just a political strategy, it was an act of courage. Still, doubts gnawed at him. Could he truly commit to such a partnership? Would their differences prove insurmountable? And what would it mean for his standing among his own people, many of whom still viewed the Zintrals with suspicion and fear? That night, as he paced his quarters, James replayed Arya's words in his mind. He thought of his father, a staunch advocate for human independence, who had taught him to stand firm in the face of adversity. He thought of his late mother, whose compassion had shaped his moral compass. What would they say about this choice? Would they see it as a betrayal or as an act of bravery? The following morning, James requested a private meeting with Arya. As they stood in a small observation deck overlooking the swirling expanse of space, he finally spoke. "If I agree to this," he began, "it won't just be about politics for me. I need to know that you're willing to build something real. This can't be a charade. Arya's expression softened, and for the first time, James saw a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. I wouldn't ask this of you if I didn't believe in it, she replied. I know what's at stake, for both our worlds. But more than that, I see in you a man who values honor and truth. If we can't find common ground, then how can we expect our people to? Her words resonated deeply with James. In that moment, he made his decision. All right, he said, extending his hand. Let's take this leap together. The announcement of their impending marriage sent shockwaves through both societies. On Earth, the reactions ranged from outrage to cautious optimism. Some hailed James as a hero, a pioneer forging a path toward interstellar unity. Others accused him of selling out humanity's interests. For the Zintrals, the news was equally divisive. While many admired Arya's boldness, traditionalists within her council questioned the wisdom of aligning so closely with humans. The days leading up to the wedding were a whirlwind of preparations and media frenzy. James and Arya worked tirelessly to craft a ceremony that honored both cultures, blending human traditions with Zintral customs. As they spent more time together, they began to understand each other on a deeper level. James learned about the Zintral's reverence for balance and harmony, while Arya discovered the resilience and ingenuity that defined humanity. Despite the challenges, there were moments of unexpected joy. Late one evening, as they practiced their vows in Arya's quarters, James joked about the absurdity of their situation. Who would have thought I'd end up marrying an alien? He said with a chuckle. Arya smiled, her bioluminescent skin glowing faintly. And who would have thought I'd find myself bonding with a human who argues like a Zintral elder? Their laughter echoed through the room, a rare moment of levity amidst the tension. As the wedding day approached, James felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension. He knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he also felt a growing sense of hope. For the first time in years, he dared to believe in the possibility of a brighter future, not just for humanity and the Zintrals, but for himself and Arya. In his heart, he knew this was more than a political alliance. It was the beginning of something extraordinary, something worth fighting for. The wedding day arrived like the quiet before a storm, a moment pregnant with anticipation. The union of James Carson and Arya Velen was not just a ceremony, it was a statement to two civilizations, a message of unity against the backdrop of centuries of fear and mistrust. As the first rays of sunlight broke through the station's dome-like observation deck, a blend of human and Zintral traditions began to unfold, marking the beginning of what would become an unforgettable event. A ceremony like no other. The hall was transformed into a fusion of earthly elegance and alien mystique. Humans adorned their section with vibrant flowers, white satin, and delicate gold accents, while the Zintrals contributed shimmering, bioluminescent flora and glowing crystalline pillars that pulsed faintly with a rhythmic hum. The air was thick with expectation, a palpable energy that even the most skeptical attendees couldn't ignore. James stood at the altar, dressed in a sharp, dark suit with subtle metallic embellishments gifted by the Zintrals, a fusion of their technology and human tradition. The suit felt strange at first, its adaptive material clinging to his body like a second skin, but he wore it with confidence. Arya entered moments later, a vision of ethereal beauty. Her ceremonial attire was an iridescent gown woven from biofiber that shimmered with every step, reflecting her emotions in soft waves of color. Her translucent veil was lifted as she walked, revealing her luminous eyes that locked onto James with an intensity that spoke volumes. The officiants from both species took turns speaking, their words emphasizing unity, trust, and the hope that this unprecedented bond would lead to lasting peace. Arya stepped forward first, her voice resonant and clear. Today, we defy history, she began. For centuries, our peoples have viewed one another as threats, yet here we stand, not as enemies but as partners. This union is more than a treaty, it is a promise. Together, we choose a future where understanding triumphs over fear. James followed, his words measured but heartfelt. We're here because we dared to imagine something greater than ourselves. This marriage isn't about erasing our differences but embracing them, finding strength in what makes us unique. If we can do that, maybe our people can too. Sabotage from within. As the ceremony progressed, the tension among the attendees began to shift. Some smiled hesitantly, hopeful for what this union might signify, while others whispered among themselves, their expressions betraying skepticism or outright disdain. What none of them anticipated, however, was that not everyone in the room wanted the ceremony to succeed. Halfway through the exchange of vows, a sharp, high-pitched sound filled the air, cutting through the harmony of the moment. The hum of the Zintal crystals flickered erratically, their glow dimming. Before anyone could react, a figure from the Zintal delegation surged forward, drawing a sleek, alien weapon aimed directly at James. Chaos erupted. Gasps and screams echoed through the hall as guests scrambled for cover. The Zintal guards moved quickly, their elongated limbs a blur as they attempted to subdue the attacker. Arya, however, was faster. With a grace that belied her warrior training, she intercepted the rogue delegate, disarming him with a swift motion that left James stunned. Her gown's shimmering fabric clung to her as she moved, transforming her from a serene bride into a fierce protector. James didn't stand idly by. Years of military experience kicked in as he assessed the situation. A second attacker, hidden among the human delegation, attempted to exploit the chaos. James tackled the would-be assassin, pinning him to the ground with practiced efficiency. The room fell silent as the assailants were subdued and dragged away by security forces. Arya turned to James, her bioluminescent skin pulsing faintly from adrenaline. "Are you hurt?" she asked, her voice steady despite the ordeal. He shook his head, his gaze meeting hers with newfound admiration. "I'm fine. But what was that about?" Her expression darkened. "Not everyone supports this union. Some on both sides see peace as a threat to their power." A bond strengthened. The incident, while terrifying, had an unexpected effect. The audience, shaken by the attack, witnessed firsthand the lengths to which James and Arya would go to protect each other. Whispers of admiration replaced doubt as people began to see the authenticity of their partnership. After the ceremony resumed, James and Arya completed their vows in an atmosphere of solemn determination. When the officiants pronounced them husband and wife, a cautious cheer erupted from the crowd. It wasn't the overwhelming applause one might expect from a human wedding, but it was a start, a tentative step toward acceptance. As the guests mingled during the reception, James and Arya shared a private moment in a quiet corner of the hall. The weight of what had just occurred hung heavy in the air. "You didn't hesitate," James said, his voice filled with a mixture of gratitude and awe. "You put yourself in danger to protect me." Arya tilted her head, her luminescent eyes softening. "How could I do anything else? This isn't just a political alliance, James. If we're going to make this work, it has to be real, for both of us." Her words stirred something deep within him. For the first time, he saw their union not just as a necessity but as an opportunity for something extraordinary. It wasn't just about peace between their peoples. It was about the possibility of genuine connection between two souls from different worlds. A looming threat. Later that evening, as the festivities wound down, James and Arya were escorted to their quarters, where they finally had a moment to breathe. Yet the events of the day lingered in their minds. The attackers hadn't acted alone, that much was clear. Both James and Arya knew that their marriage had painted a target on their backs. As they settled into the quiet of their shared quarters, a message arrived on Arya's communicator. It was from a trusted Zinthal ally, warning them of a new threat. A rogue faction from Earth, working in tandem with a group of Zinthal extremists, was plotting to undermine the truce. Their motives were clear: to reignite hostilities and ensure the continuation of the war. James's jaw tightened as he read the details. "They're not going to stop, are they?" "No," Arya replied, her tone resolute. "But neither will we. If they think they can break us, they're wrong." Their resolve was tested almost immediately. That night, as they discussed their next steps, a faint hum filled the room, the unmistakable sound of a cloak surveillance drone. Without hesitation, James grabbed a nearby object and hurled it at the source of the sound, shattering the drone into pieces. Arya examined the remnants, her brow furrowing. "They're watching us. They want us to fail." James nodded, determination burning in his eyes. Then we'll show them what happens when we stand together. A growing affection. In the days that followed, James and Arya found themselves relying on each other more than ever. They worked together to uncover the rogue faction's plans, blending James's tactical expertise with Arya's intricate knowledge of her people's technology. Their partnership deepened, not just out of necessity but out of mutual respect and admiration. Amidst the tension, moments of levity emerged. One evening, as they reviewed intelligence reports, James attempted to mimic a Zintro greeting gesture, only to fumble awkwardly. Arya laughed, a melodic sound that lit up the room. "You're terrible at this," she teased, her eyes glowing with amusement. "Hey, I'm trying," James replied with a grin. "Cut me some slack. It's not every day you marry someone from another planet." Her laughter faded into a warm smile. "And yet here we are." Their bond, forged in the fires of adversity, began to transform into something more profound. For James, Arya was no longer just an alien envoy or a political partner. She was someone he trusted, someone he admired, and perhaps someone he could love. For Arya, James represented more than just humanity's potential. He was a man of integrity, courage, and compassion, a rare combination in any species. Together, they stood on the precipice of something extraordinary, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The days following the wedding were anything but serene. While the ceremony had officially united James and Arya, the ripple effects of their union were far from settled. Both Earth and the Zintros were divided. While some hailed the marriage as a step toward lasting peace, others saw it as a betrayal, a capitulation that jeopardized their respective species' sovereignty. For James and Arya, this division became the fuel for their next battle, uniting their people against a looming threat that sought to tear apart everything they had built. Unlikely allies. Tensions flared almost immediately. Intelligence reports confirmed that a rogue coalition had formed, consisting of extremists from both humans and Zintros. This group, aptly named the Separatists, was determined to dismantle the treaty and reignite hostilities. James and Arya realized that their marriage, the very symbol of unity, had become the prime target. Despite the danger, James and Arya refused to back down. Instead, they chose to confront the problem head-on. Together, they devised a plan to meet with key leaders from the factions that had been swayed by the Separatists. They knew it would be risky, negotiating with those who actively sought their downfall, but they also knew it was their best chance to prevent an all-out war. Their first meeting took place on an uninhabited moon orbiting a gas giant, a neutral ground chosen to ensure safety. The tension in the air was palpable as James and Arya faced a room filled with skeptics and antagonists. The human faction leader, a grizzled ex-military commander named Colonel Marcus Vane, was particularly vocal in his opposition. "You expect us to believe this marriage is anything more than a charade?" Vane growled, his sharp eyes narrowing at James. "You've sold us out, Carson. You're nothing but a puppet for these aliens." James met Vane's glare with unwavering resolve. "If you think this is about me, you're missing the point. This isn't about humans or Zintros winning, it's about survival. War doesn't benefit anyone except those who profit from destruction. You've seen what they're capable of." He gestured toward Arya. "And you've seen what we can do. Together, we have a chance to thrive. Apart, we'll destroy ourselves." Arya stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We understand your fears. Change is difficult, and trust even more so. But ask yourselves this: who truly benefits from conflict? Not you, not your families. It's the ones feeding you lies, the ones manipulating you into thinking war is your only option. They're the real enemy." Her words struck a chord, but the room remained divided. The negotiations were grueling, filled with heated arguments and veiled threats. Yet, by the end of the session, a few leaders showed signs of reconsidering their stance. James and Arya knew it was a small victory, but it was a start. The battle of wills and skills. As James and Arya worked tirelessly to sway the factions, the Separatists launched their first major offensive. A coordinated attack targeted key human and Zintro settlements, designed to blame each side for the destruction. The propaganda machine roared to life, spreading misinformation and stoking fears of betrayal. James and Arya responded quickly. Using Arya's advanced technological expertise, they uncovered evidence proving the attacks were orchestrated by the Separatists. Armed with this information, they held an emergency broadcast to both species, exposing the lies that had fueled the chaos. The revelation shocked many, turning public opinion against the Separatists. However, it also made James and Arya even bigger targets. Their most dangerous encounter came during a clandestine meeting with a moderate Zinthro leader. The Separatists ambushed them en route, forcing their ship to crash land on a desolate planet. Stranded with limited supplies, James and Arya faced relentless attacks from Separatist forces. The planet's harsh environment tested their endurance. The ground was jagged and unstable, with sulfuric geysers erupting unpredictably. The air was thin, forcing them to ration their oxygen. Yet, amidst the chaos, James and Arya worked together seamlessly. James's combat training and tactical mind paired perfectly with Arya's technological prowess and strategic thinking. During one particularly intense skirmish, James led a daring counterattack, using the terrain to his advantage. He set traps that lured the Separatists into vulnerable positions, neutralizing them with precision. Meanwhile, Arya hacked into their communications, sending false coordinates to confuse their reinforcements. Together, they turned the tide of the battle, escaping the planet with vital intelligence about the Separatists' operations. The revelation of betrayal. Back on the station, the intelligence they recovered revealed a shocking truth: the Separatists were not acting alone. A secret cabal within both the human and Zinthro governments had been funding and supporting the rogue faction. These individuals, driven by greed and a desire for control, had orchestrated the conflict from the shadows, manipulating both sides to maintain their power. The discovery sent shockwaves through both species. James and Arya presented the evidence to the councils, demanding accountability. While some leaders acted swiftly to root out the conspirators, others hesitated, unwilling to confront the corruption within their ranks. The fallout from this revelation threatened to unravel the fragile truce entirely. James and Arya found themselves walking a delicate line, trying to maintain unity while ensuring justice was served. It was a daunting task, but they refused to give up. A growing bond. Amidst the turmoil, James and Arya's relationship deepened. Their shared struggles forged a bond that transcended their differences. Late at night, in the quiet moments between battles and negotiations, they found solace in each other's company. One night, as they sat on the observation deck overlooking a star-studded sky, Arya spoke softly. "When I proposed this marriage, I thought it would be purely symbolic. I didn't expect this." James turned to her, his expression tender. "Neither did I. But I'm glad we took the chance. You've shown me what's possible, even when everything seems impossible." She smiled, her bioluminescent eyes shimmering like the stars above. "You've given me hope, James. For our people, for our future." Their connection was no longer just a partnership born of necessity. It was a genuine love built on trust, respect, and shared dreams. Together, they faced the immense challenges ahead with renewed determination. The final stand. As the Separatists prepared for their final, desperate act, a large-scale attack on both Earth and the Zinthro homeworld, James and Arya rallied their allies for a last stand. Their plan was bold: infiltrate the Separatist base, dismantle their operations from within, and capture their leaders to expose their treachery once and for all. The mission was fraught with danger. The base was heavily fortified, its defenses powered by stolen Zinthro technology. But James and Arya were undeterred. With a team of loyal human and Zinthro soldiers, they launched a covert assault, using their combined skills to outmaneuver the enemy. The battle was fierce, with casualties on both sides. James led the charge, his tactical brilliance shining as he coordinated the attack. Arya, meanwhile, used her technological expertise to disable the base's defenses, opening the way for their forces to advance. In the final moments, James confronted the Separatist leader, a cunning human named Adrian Kane. Their confrontation was as much a battle of wits as it was of strength. Kane taunted James, claiming that humanity and the Zinthros would never truly coexist. "You're wrong," James said, his voice steady. "We've already proven that unity is possible. Your time is over." With a decisive move, James subdued Cain, ending the Separatists' reign of terror. The final battle against the Separatists left scars that would take time to heal, but James Carson and Aria Velen emerged as heroes. Their combined courage, intelligence, and sheer determination not only dismantled the rogue faction but also exposed the corruption that had fueled the conflict from the start. However, their journey was far from over. The peace they had fought so hard to secure still hung by a thread, and they knew the road ahead would be long and arduous. Negotiation mastery and a truce secured. In the aftermath of the battle, James and Aria convened with both the human and Zintro councils to present the evidence they had gathered. The room was filled with tension as the damning documents and recordings played out, revealing the web of lies spun by those in power. Members of both councils were visibly shaken as they realized the extent of the betrayal. "This is what happens when fear and greed dictate our actions," Aria said, her voice calm but firm. "Our enemies weren't each other, they were the ones who sought to profit from our division." James followed, his gaze steady as he addressed the human representatives. "It's time we stop letting others manipulate us into conflict. We have a chance to build something extraordinary, a future where our differences make us stronger, not weaker. But that can only happen if we hold those responsible accountable." The room fell silent as the weight of their words settled over the delegates. After hours of heated debate, a consensus was finally reached. Both sides agreed to work together to dismantle the remnants of the Separatists and implement reforms to ensure transparency and accountability. It was a monumental step toward genuine unity. The final test. Just as it seemed that peace was within reach, a desperate last attack by the Separatist remnants threatened to undo everything. The rogue leaders, cornered and with nothing left to lose, launched an audacious assault on the station where James and Aria were staying. Their target was clear: eliminate the symbol of unity that James and Aria represented. The attack came without warning. Explosions rocked the station as Separatist forces breached its defenses. Chaos erupted as civilians and delegates scrambled for safety. James and Aria, however, remained calm amidst the turmoil. They knew this was the ultimate test of their resolve. "We end this now," James said, his voice resolute as he armed himself with a plasma rifle. Aria nodded, her bioluminescent eyes glowing with determination. Together, the two led a small team of loyal allies to confront the attackers. The battle was intense, with firefights breaking out in the station's corridors. James's military training came to the forefront as he directed their forces with precision, while Aria used her technological expertise to disable the Separatists' weapons systems. At one point, James found himself cornered by a group of attackers. Just as they prepared to fire, Aria appeared, her movements swift and calculated as she neutralized the threat. "I told you," she said with a faint smile. "We're in this together." The climax of the battle came when they confronted the Separatist leaders in the station's control room. The leaders attempted to detonate the station's core, but James and Aria intervened just in time. James subdued the human leader, Adrian Kane, while Aria disabled the Zintral extremists' control panel. The leaders were captured, and the station was saved. As the dust settled, James and Aria stood side by side, their bond stronger than ever. The Separatists had been defeated, and their symbolic unity had prevailed. True love and a new beginning. With the Separatists vanquished, the focus shifted back to rebuilding trust between the two civilizations. James and Aria became the faces of this effort, traveling between Earth and Zintro colonies to meet with citizens, answer their questions, and address their concerns. Their sincerity and dedication won over even the staunchest skeptics. But amidst their public duties, James and Aria found moments of quiet intimacy. Their relationship, which had started as a political alliance, had grown into something genuine and profound. They shared not only their dreams for the future but also their fears and vulnerabilities. In each other, they found a partner who truly understood the weight of their responsibilities. One evening, after a long day of meetings, James and Aria returned to their private quarters. The room was dimly lit, the soft glow of Zinthril crystals casting a tranquil ambience. For the first time in weeks, they were alone, free from the pressures of their roles. As they sat together, James took Aria's hand in his expression thoughtful. "You know," he began, "when this all started, I never thought we'd get here. I agreed to this marriage for the sake of peace, but now I can't imagine my life without you." Aria's eyes shimmered, her bioluminescent skin pulsing softly with emotion. "Neither can I," she said. "You've shown me what it means to truly trust someone, to fight for something greater than myself. I never thought I could feel this way, but with you, everything feels possible." Their words gave way to silence as they gazed at each other, the connection between them unspoken yet undeniable. In that moment, their love transcended the barriers of their species, becoming a testament to the power of unity and understanding. A twist on the wedding night. That evening, James and Aria finally experienced what they had missed on their actual wedding night. As they embraced, Aria revealed a secret about her people. "There's something you should know," she said softly. "When Zinthrils bond with someone they truly love, the connection goes beyond the physical. It's deeper." James tilted his head, intrigued. "Deeper how?" Aria placed her hand on his chest, her touch warm and soothing. "Through physical intimacy, we share not just emotions but memories, thoughts, and feelings. It's a merging of our essences, a way to truly understand one another." James hesitated for a moment, the idea both fascinating and intimidating. But as he looked into Aria's eyes, he saw nothing but trust and love. "Let's do it," he said, his voice steady. What followed was unlike anything James had ever experienced. As they connected, he felt an overwhelming wave of emotions and memories. Aria's childhood on her homeworld, her struggles to prove herself as a leader, her hopes and fears. In turn, she experienced his life, his family, his time in the military, his moments of doubt and triumph. The connection was intense, but it also brought a profound sense of closeness. When it was over, they lay side by side, their bond stronger than ever. "I understand you now in a way I never thought possible," James said, his voice filled with awe. Aria smiled, her expression soft. "And I you? This is what our people could have, James, a connection that transcends the barriers we've built. A hopeful future." In the days that followed, James and Aria continued their efforts to unite their peoples. Their love became a symbol of what was possible when fear and mistrust were set aside. Slowly but surely, humans and Zinthrils began to work together, building a future that neither could have achieved alone. As they stood on the observation deck of the station, gazing out at the stars, James wrapped an arm around Aria's waist. "We've come a long way," he said, his voice filled with quiet pride. "And we still have a long way to go," Aria replied, leaning against him. "But I believe in us. In what we can build together." With the universe stretched out before them, James and Aria knew that their journey was only just beginning. Their love, forged in the fires of conflict and tempered by the strength of their bond, would guide them as they faced the challenges ahead. Together, they had not only defied the odds but had created a legacy that would inspire generations to come.